I bought this mountain bike in 2014 and it was £1,400, which at the time was a lot of dosh to me, still a lot of dosh to me. Anyway, I've easily had £1,400 worth of fun out of it, but not only that, I've used it as a means of transport and it saved me way more than that. I used to cycle to the post office and back here with my orders for my spare parts for curtain track business at least 3 times a week for 4 years, and I still use it to cycle to the post office occasionally. So in terms of saving diesel and wear and tear on a car, it's more than paid for itself. And in terms of fitness, when I first arrived here, I was around 87 kilos and I'm now 70 kilos. And I've always maintained, or very early on I realised that for me personally, long duration aerobic exercise is one of the best ways to burn fat, to lose fat. I'm curious. I've been cycling around on this, as I say, for 10 years. I wonder how much it weighs. Just over 16 kilos. So moving with the times, this one's got a battery and according to the information, it weighs around 24 kilos. So I'm about to find out. This is what it looks like in the box. So very pleasing. This has come from Germany, so never sure if everything's going to survive okay on the journey, but this looks to be hunky-dory so far. Just going to move it a bit this way. Okie dokie, so in order to get the bike out of the box this way, it looks like this has to come off. Just packing, so that seems to be it. Very nice. Okay, so as you can see, this is a cube stereo hybrid, and the first thing that's very noticeable is just how huge the back sprocket is, the lowest ratio gear for going up hills. Though you don't get a small or a large cog on the front. But yeah, so far very, very nice. Just going to open this box and see what's in here. Charger for the battery, and the instruction manuals, and a few plastic bits. And it weighs 24.8 kilos according to this scale. And I think you need to bear in mind it doesn't have any pedals or any other additional parts, mud guards, etc. But 24.79 kilos according to this scale. I have the instruction manuals, and I'm a firm believer in at least familiarising yourself with the general workings of any complicated mechanical, electrical device. There's already one particular nut, Allen key, that I want to be sure about what I'm doing before I loosen or tighten it. So I'm going to take an hour or two now, and as I say, just make sure I'm not going to do any damage to what is a complicated and expensive piece of kit. It's the next day. If you want my verdict now, incredible, outstanding, fabulous fun. My quick start guide. I was right about the Allen bolt at the top of the column there. My advice would be, unless it's actually loose, don't touch it. If you do need to tighten it, then just tight enough. That's a plastic cap underneath there, and if you over tighten it, then you might deform or break it. In order to secure the handlebars in place, you want to tighten those two Allen bolts at the side. Pedals don't come with this mountain bike, and pedals are handed left and right. So if you're struggling to thread them in from one side, then try swapping them over and threading them in from the other side. 2 washers did come with it, and there's a recess in the crank to locate those washers into. Lubricate the chain, that's very important. And other than that, things that I've done, I've checked to make sure there are no obvious loose nuts and bolts, especially when it comes to the brakes. Setting up the suspension on these things can be a little bit fiddly, and depending on what terrain you're riding on, you might want different settings. I've linked to a really good and zany video in the description for rock shocks, for setting up rock shocks. I'm no longer 94 kilos. I've let some air, these are air shocks, and I've let some of the air out, and I've also dialed back the compression and the rebound to neutral settings. I connected the app to the bike yesterday and enabled the e-bike lock, so that unless my phone is nearby, then the motor won't work. This Purion display is fabulous, really intuitive, really easy to use. Going through the modes, excellent, really good job. I charged it up overnight, and I'm astonished at how many kilometers I'm going to get on with average riding. So plenty enough for me to commute to work and have a lot of fun. Talking about fun, let's go for a ride. And down the driveway we're in Tour Plus mode. So over 100 kilometers of range on a full battery. And this would be my commute to work, i.e. I take my orders to the post office. Into a slight breeze, and this would be the first thing that, the first wee hill here that would have an impact on me. Well, that's interesting, it tells you when to shift down. Still wants me to shift down. Into the breeze, you don't feel it with the motor. It is quite incredible. That is a fair breeze. So yesterday, by this stage, the words that were coming out were phenomenal, exceptional, incredible. There was no wind yesterday, and I was bowling along by this point, and I'd also stepped it up a gear, but this is into a fair stiff breeze, and I'm hardly feeling this. Just fabulous. And this would be quite typical of rural Irish single track roads. This is a public road, but it goes through a couple of farms. While we're going along here, I'll just go through some of the modes on the Purion, because it really is just so easy. So 6 kilometers I've done total on this bike. Next one, 60 Newton meters, 66 cadence. Okay, how many pedal strokes per minute? How many watts? Okay, smartphone. I have ordered up some parts to connect a smartphone. I think they'll be here in a week or so. 99% battery left. 110 kilometers of range. I find that incredible. Okay, this particular series of hills and bends would be very challenging on a non-electric bike. And yesterday I just piled up here so quickly. Even today, there's hardly any effort in this at all. And this isn't even in mountain bike or turbo mode. This is just in Tour Plus. So as I say, these two hills could be, yeah, they would be challenging. I certainly wouldn't be talking, I wouldn't be going at this speed and talking to you as easily as I am. Fabulous, just incredible. Superlatives is the word I was looking for earlier on. Lots of positive superlatives. Okay, so with the wind, let's go up to eMTB mode. The brakes are really well positioned. It's actually a more comfortable cockpit than the Trek. I have ordered up also a torque wrench, and I'll increase the height of the seat. It's just a bit low and you can't do it. It says 6 Newton meters torque. This is a carbon fibre frame, so you can't just wind it up. You can do significant damage if you do. So I'm going to be patient and wait for the torque wrench, which will come next Monday. But this is well comfortable enough. Fantastic. Okay, so it cuts out at 25 kilometers an hour. And I'm doing just over that. But it really does give you a shove up to 25 kilometers an hour. And that will become apparent on the next hill. But this is effortless. Going with the wind at the moment. Yeah, it really does. It takes the sting out of it all. I wouldn't have any issues rolling along here with the wind on the Trek on a non-eMTB. This, as I say, just makes it effortless. So, you can get an idea of how steep it is going down here. And this hill would be a real mission for me. Into the wind especially. Pop this into turbo mode. Turbo. And yeah, you wow, it just like, what a shove. Fantastic. So that's into the wind, uphill, and it's just incredible. Might cut out at 25 kilometers an hour, but it keeps you at that. So as soon as you hit a steeper section where it comes back to 25 kilometers an hour, it just kicks you back up again. And this little patch here in particular would be This would be like eek, 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 getting up here on the trek for me, and that was just effortless. So this hill here is pretty steep, freewheeling, fabulous, just loving it, it's incredible. Just get turned up here. Wow, it just gets after it. Fabulous, fantastic. Okay, that's pedalling under my own steam, and you really feel it when it's not assisting you. It'd be great if they clocked this up to 30 kilometers an hour, but I'm sure if they did that, then you would want 35 kilometers an hour. So hopefully you can see the steepness of this hill, and on a non-eMTB, I very much doubt I'd be talking to you as I go up it. And I'm doing almost 20 kilometers an hour all the way to the top. Just incredible. Fantastic. Nice ride. As I say, you have to play with the suspension on these, and I suspect also the tyres are a bit pumped up, a bit too hard, a bit too jarring. But generally speaking, my impressions so far are just outstanding. So much fun. Makes it so easy. And as soon as it gets to that 25 kilometers an hour or below, it just shoves you back up there. So the last hill that I have is the one up to my house, and on a trek this would be lowest gear, slowly, and if I hadn't been exercising for a while then it would be a case of get off and push. And there I got into top lowest gear, and I had to gear up in order to get the kick, but that was just mighty. Fabulous fun. Thanks a mil for watching. Good luck.